Today, many students go to college with numerous questions about their faith, yearning to know if the seed planted in them as a child is both true and practical. Using the miracle on the road to Emmaus as a model, young adult ministers conversed weekly for 3 months with college students about the most pressing questions they had about the Catholic faith. As they journeyed together virtually, something amazing happened. Doubts disappeared, fears faded, and Jesus revealed that He is still alive. Hearts Burning Within Us, the latest book from Patchwork Heart Ministry, is a result of that grace-infused conversation. It is the perfect back-to-school gift for recent high school graduates and current college students. Get your copy for them today at patchworkheart.org or by calling 424-704-3278. That's 424-704-3278.
The St. Raymond Nonnatus Foundation, in partnership with Patchwork Heart Ministry and Fiat Ministry Network, present a podcast for divorced and separated Catholics.
Hello and welcome to a podcast with the St. Raymond Nonnatus Foundation for Freedom, Family, and Faith. My name is Ann DeSantis. This is our once a month Tuesday podcast for Catholics who are affected by divorce and separation. So thank you so much for joining us. And this is a podcast series where we're going to unpack and talk about the services available through the St. Raymond Nonnatus Foundation. And so first of all, I'll just start out by saying that the best way to learn about us and what we do in our ministry is to simply go to our website, especially to the home page of the website, and that's at nonnatus.org. And the Nonnatus is named after our patron saint, which is St. Raymond Nonnatus. Of course, for those who know us, we were formed through the Mercedarian religious order. And the fourth vow of our charism for the Mercedarians is that willingness to give our lives for those who are in danger of losing their faith. And so when the St. Raymond Nonnatus Foundation was founded back in 2015, it was sometime after the World Meeting of Families when Pope Francis came to the United States. The Mercedarian friars decided to get together, pray, and think about what are some ways that we can reach out to people who are in crisis, families or individuals. And so they came together, prayed about it, and decided that the direction that they wanted to go in was for families in crisis. And that is exactly what we've been doing since our founding. And we had an initial mission reaching out to families affected by divorce and separation. And that's what this podcast is all about and who it ministers to. And so whether it's yourself or someone you know, please reach out to us, because one of the greatest offerings that we have through the foundation is the 1-hour free pastoral consultation with a Mercedarian friar. You can have as many of those consultations as you like. And we get calls and emails every week with people who would like to talk about some of those issues. And especially you're listening and you are going through a divorce, or maybe you're still suffering from the effects of a divorce or a separation. That's what we're here for. So I just invite you to reach out to us. Simply go to that website on the contact form and make your free appointment. So we're looking forward to hearing from you. Now, during this podcast series that we're doing, it's a series of 4. The first one that we did was on one of the 4 elements of our offerings. The first element is prayer. And so there's a whole podcast dedicated to prayer and how we make that outreach to you. The second one that we did was on our priestly consultations. Because, a lot of people ask us, what happens during that priestly consultation? And, does it cost anything? And to answer your question is that generally speaking, it's an hour appointment and it's free. And as I said earlier, you can have as many of those appointments as you like, which is a great thing. And we're so happy to provide that for you. And so this podcast, this one is dedicated to our programs and events. So what I'd like to do during this 50-minute or so podcast is talk to you about all the different offerings and what we do, so that if you're curious about our ministry and you're not really knowing much about who we are, that's what this series is designed to do, is to introduce you in full to what our offerings are. So when I talk about the programs and events, I'll go back to the beginning of our history. It's back in 2015. We had two Mercedarian friars who were the founding members of the foundation. And the first things that they did was set up some retreats for Catholics affected by divorce. So we did a couple in the St. Petersburg, Florida area, and we did one in Philadelphia, which was an awesome thing. And we had our good friend, who's a former board member, Rose Sweet, came and she did those retreats. And so for those listening who know Rose, I just invite you to go to her website too, because she's an amazing speaker at rosesweet.com, who offers coaching and has written some beautiful books that are available on Amazon as well. That's a side note for what this podcast is about, but I just wanted to mention that that's where we started. We did those retreats in person. They were in-person events. Now, of course, in 2020, things changed for us greatly, and for you too, because what we offered were only the online events. Now, there's good news there, but because now that we're offering these online events and podcasts, not only can we reach people within the area that we're located, which is in Philadelphia, but now we're able to reach people pretty much all over the place, anywhere. And if you go to our YouTube channel and our website, you can take a look at some of the previous things that we've done. We did a whole conference last year with smartcatholics.com called the God is Mercy Conference. So all you need to do if you want to look at some of the talks that we did during that beautiful event, which November of 2020, we had over 45 Catholic authors and speakers talking about the mercy of God, and especially as it's related to families in crisis. So that's where the tie-in is that we look at the mercy of God through that lens of families who have gone through such adversity, like yourselves, like those who follow the St. Raymond Nonnatus Foundation. So I just invite you to go there. Now, in addition to those online events that we've been doing since that time, because now as I'm recording this, we're in the fall of 2021, we've been doing many different online events. And in fact, I want to talk to you about two that we have that are coming up this year. So just take out your phone or a piece of paper and a pen and jot down some events that we have that are coming up. So the first one that we have is a marriage enrichment event. And this is an online event. The dates are October 13th, 20th, and 27th from 7:30 to 8 p.m. Eastern time. They're online. It's a virtual marriage enrichment series. And you will see that right on our website. We have a Catholic author and speaker, Leblanc, who is with Catholic Moments. You can look up his ministry online at Catholic Moments. He is a catechist, an author, and a speaker from Canada. And he will be presenting points regarding our catechism and what we believe as Catholics and how you can grow closer to your spouse. If you're listening to this podcast and you are married or remarried, because I know that this podcast is specifically for Catholics affected by divorce, but some of you have been remarried and are annulled from your previous marriage, you can go to our website and sign up for that, or let your friends know about it. And to be honest with you, even if you're divorced or separated, it's a good educational workshop for anyone, wherever you are in your life, to learn about the sacrament of matrimony and the gifts of marriage. So please do check that out. Now we have another one, which I think that all of you will probably be very interested in. Our friends who are affected by divorce and separation is on November 17th, Wednesday, November 17th, from 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern. we have How to Handle Loneliness with Marek Rudak, Catholic author. He's worked with us before on some of our other events, and myself. It's a Zoom meeting, so you can attend that. We will have pretty soon, by the time you listen to this podcast, it'll probably be right on our website there for you to sign up for free. And this will be talking about the fact of how we're all affected by loneliness, all of us. I don't care who you are, whether you're married, single, divorced, annulled, young, old, middle, somewhere in between. All of us are affected by loneliness. And sometimes that can happen from the loss of a job or a career, the loss of a spouse or a loved one, sickness, addictions, all kinds of things can cause loneliness. And so that's what we're going to address during this 1 hour Zoom virtual meeting. So I hope you can join us. And as I said again, that is going to be on Wednesday, November 17th from 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern time. Please do join us. And as I said at the beginning of this podcast is dedicated to what we do in terms of programs and events. So I did want to make sure that I covered what we're doing this fall. And if you're listening to this podcast way after the fact, I have great news for you too. Even if you're listening to this in 2022 or even beyond, is that those very workshops are going to be put on our YouTube channel. So if you're listening to this afterwards, you can watch these and listen to them. By going to Philly Nonnatus and subscribing, you can find the videos later on. But we're just trying to let all of you know what we do, because a lot of people ask us that all the time. You know, they hear the name St. Raymond Nonnatus Foundation, they don't know what it is, and they're curious. And so they ask us, what is it exactly that you do? How can you help us? And so one of those ways is through our programs and events. I will say that 90% of the time, we try to make our events available for you for free. You know, especially what we all went through in this past year in 2020, spending money on some kind of an event. Not everybody has that extra money to spend, especially if you are a family in crisis, especially if you are someone who has been through so much and you don't have a lot of extra income to spend on things like conferences or just interesting things that you would like to go to. And so we have a whole page dedicated, by the way, on our website to programs and events. So just go to that website and look at the drop down. If you look under our services, you'll see a drop down there which says programs and events. So let's talk a little bit more, if we could, together, right, on this podcast about what we do during these programs and events. So right now, I would say we're still concentrating on doing a lot of online events. And our goal is to try to help you and minister to you in what you've been through. People affected by divorce and separation, whether you are the actual person, if you are actually an adult child of divorce like myself, because I've never been divorced. I've said that on other podcasts. You know, people who are affected in other ways. At the foundation, we have people who reach out to us who aren't even necessarily the couples or the individuals. I have had people reach out to us who are the brothers and sisters, or the aunts and uncles or grandparents or neighbors who reach out and say, a good friend of mine or a relative is separated from their husband, or they're going through some type of an addiction or problem. What can you do to help? And that's where we come in. Mainly what we offer is our prayer. And then those priestly consultations. So the programs and events and the podcast and videos are also a very important part of what we offer. But I would say they're probably secondary to prayer and the priestly consultations. So that's what we do. That's what we offer. Now, I have really good news that we have some in-person events that I'm working on setting up. I'm not going to disclose what they are quite yet, but I will let you know that here in the greater Philadelphia area where I'm from, that I've been talking with a local shrine in the Philadelphia area about doing a special event. So I'm just going to say, I'll leave it there. and say, keep an eye, because I don't want to disclose it until it's a definite. But if you're listening to this right now in 2021, it would be around December of 2021 that we would be doing this in-person event in the Philadelphia area. But if you're listening somewhere else and you're thinking, I'd love for the St. Raymond Nonnatus Foundation to come to my church or organization somewhere, just let us know. Maybe we can arrange that for us to come in person. Because not only do I work with, myself being the director, but our president, who's Mickey Kelly, and some of you may know him from our other podcast series that we do for families in crisis, is that he and I are available to come and do talking to not only people affected by divorce, but also the families in crisis and different topics. So we offer all different topics that we can come to you, your church or organization, and offer you that pastoral accompaniment. And, as Pope Francis has said so often, that the church is a field hospital. I know I've said that on other podcasts, but it is. The church is a place that we can come to feel God's love and God's mercy. And, we're all ministers of mercy. We're all ministers of the work that he has for us to do to making this world a better place. So just wanted to give you that information about the upcoming events. So again, keep an eye. Make sure you subscribe to that YouTube channel at Philly Nonnatus. And with the rest of this podcast, I thought I would talk to you a little bit about some ways that you can grow as a person affected by divorce and separation, simple ways that you can grow in your Catholic faith. Before I get into those ways, I want to say that I myself, and I've said this before, as I said on other podcasts, that I've been affected by divorce in a couple different ways. Firstly, that my parents divorced when I was 7 years old. And, I was, of course, the adult child of divorce. And my parents both remarried. And thankfully, when I got older, I was able to get married and have a normal marriage. Not to say that there hasn't been some trials, right? Everybody has some kind of trials in marriage. But I have been married now for going on 33 years. So I'm very grateful for that. But with that being said, I understand divorce. I understand what it feels like to be from a family affected by divorce. And not only have I seen it in my own life, but I have siblings and also extended family members who've been affected, and friends of mine, people I know, Catholic and non-Catholic. So that's where my own experience comes from. Now, I do have to mention something else, which I've talked about on our podcast before, is that what we offer is the pastoral accompaniment. Now, are we licensed counselors? Are we licensed psychologists? No, we're not. And we get that question quite often. So I wanted to make sure that it's clear to you listening that if you need professional help, that please do find it. What we offer is the listening ear, the prayer, and really, to be honest with you, we offer the availability. So what we offer is the fact that you can get in touch with me or with a foundation, and within a day or two, you can make that appointment with a priest and be able to talk on the phone or on a video call. I do want to mention that it is 100% confidential. Our friars, our priests don't even tell me the details of what was said on those calls, because it's really between you and him and God. If you want to share anything with me, if you call, then I'm always happy to listen. And I've done that before. And I want you to know that anything that you share with me, obviously, is also very much confidential, 100%. But I just wanted to make it clear to those who are listening. We do have resources, though, on our website. If you go to helpful resources, if you on the drop down there, it says outside resources. And if you go sort of to about 3/4 of the way on the page, you will see some resources there for counseling. Most specifically is a good friend of the foundation. Her name is Heather Makowitz, and she's from the greater Philadelphia area. She's also a certified spiritual director. So just keep that in mind, that we do have resources, as well as our own board of director, Colleen Bridget Fitzpatrick, from the South Jersey area is also a licensed social worker, a licensed counselor. So you can also go to our team, simply go to our team on the website and you look for Colleen Bridget Fitzpatrick, and you can go right to her website, which is on her bio, and you can make an appointment with a counselor. Now, those two resources that I just mentioned to you, Heather Makowitz and Colleen, they're not free resources, but they're very much worth it if you need to get a licensed counselor. And we do recommend that because some people do have times in their lives where they need it. I can tell you all right now that I've done it many times in my life, not specifically with them, but with other counselors or therapists. When I've gone through challenging times and I've needed to seek professional help, that's exactly what I do. So we hope that we can help you by offering the listening ear, the guidance, the resources, and most especially the prayer and the availability. That's the two biggies that we offer, the prayer and the availability. So that's really what we bill ourselves as people who are here for you when you need us through the Mercedarian charism. And if you don't know about the Mercedarians, and this might be your first podcast listening, it's a religious order, and they were founded over 800 years ago in Barcelona, Spain, by their founder, St. Peter Nolasco. And I would invite you to go to orderofmercy.org, orderofmercy.org, and read about the order, read about the saints, and learn about them. And remember that this order is dedicated to you. And that's why this foundation came into existence, because they wanted to help families. Now, you might hear that word families and think, well, I'm one person. I'm not a family. I'm going through a tough time. I'm getting separated or divorced, and I feel very much alone. And I just want you to know that even though we bill ourselves for families in crisis, we're also for individuals in crisis, because people come to us one person at a time, always. I don't think we've ever had group sessions or anything like that, because we do prefer that one-to-one. Actually, I take that back. I know that we've had some couples come to us, but what I'm trying to say is that you'll see that title, Families in Crisis, but really it's for you listening, for whatever your needs are, whether it's for yourself, your husband, wife, ex-wife, person that you're separated from, or your kids and family, the whole family, right? So just keep that in mind. So we're here for you. Now I want to get back on track with my 10 ways to grow in faith. Now I did find this online at a website at stcatherinedrexel.com, St. Catherine Drexel. And she's a saint of the Philadelphia area. For those of you who don't know who she is, I just invite you to learn about St. Catherine Drexel. So these are 10 ways to grow your Catholic faith. And I'm going to talk to you about them related to being divorced and separated, okay? So the first way I have is to go to confession once a month. And it says here in the article that if you want your faith to grow, you need to confess your sins regularly. This great act of humility can push the limits of our power, but this is exactly where the Lord desires to do his greatest work as he chips away that which is not necessary. So for you who have been, maybe if you have been away from your faith in any way, someone who's listening, that this is really, I'm really glad that this article put that number one, because I don't think there's any way that's more important in getting back to the church when someone says, I want to get back to the church, but I just don't know how, and I'm a Catholic. Well, first question is, have you been to confession in a while? Come back. The priest is waiting for you. The church loves you. We love you. We are the church, not just the St. Raymond Nonnatus Foundation, but all of us are part of God's mission, right? The ministry of the church. And as I said, that field hospital. So come back to confession, and don't be afraid. But may I recommend that if you are affected by divorce in some way, you might want to make an appointment with a priest instead of just randomly walking in on a Saturday or something like that. Why do I say that? Because if it's been a while, and by a while, let's say more than 6 months or a year, I'd say make that appointment, spend some time, ask the priest if he has an hour. And, if you are within one of our communities and you want to talk to a Mercedarian in person to get confession, and you live with within one of our communities, contact me through nonnatus.org, and I'll see if I can find you one of our priests that you can have confession. Now, keep in mind with confession, you have to do that in person. I know most of you already know that, but it can't be done online or on the phone at all. Now, our communities, for people are wondering, where are the Mercedarians? So that would be Philadelphia. And then we're also in a town in Western New York called Leroy, and also Bergen, which is like not that far from Rochester, New York. We're also in St. Petersburg, Florida area, near Tampa. And we're in Cleveland, Ohio. So if you're in any of those 4 areas and you're listening to this podcast and you want to make that appointment with a priest, you can look it up online, I guess, but you can simply reach out to me too, and I'll see if I can connect you with one of our priests to make an appointment, especially if you need to spend more than just the 10 or 15 minutes on a Saturday. Now, next point on our 10 ways to grow in faith, Catholic faith, is to go to Mass every Sunday. At the center of Christian worship is the call to follow with obedience the words of Jesus Christ. Do this in memory of me. And every time the sacrifice of Jesus Christ is offered once more, as we encounter the same sacrifice, our hearts are directed back to the source of life itself. It might sound like, for some of you who are listening and who have been away from going to Mass, and you might think, oh boy, I just don't have time. I'm busy enough. I don't want to make that time. And then with the pandemic, you watched Mass online, some of you who are listening, including me. But then there was a time to go back. And so God is calling you to come back to Mass too, if you haven't been to Mass in a while. And if you're affected by divorce and separation, please come back to Mass. And some people may say, well, I'm divorced now. I don't know if I can receive the Eucharist. A lot of times people don't have the right information, and that there's not going to be enough time on this podcast to talk about that and who can receive the Eucharist and who can't when you're affected by divorce and separation. But I would recommend you to go on our YouTube channel, because we have a 4-part series on Catholic annulments. So listen to it. It's very good. But what I'm trying to say is that if you are affected by divorce and separation, first of all, if you're annulled, there's no issue whatsoever. If you're divorced or separated, as long as you are still living that sacramental life, no matter what the actual state of the state of your marriage is. By that, I mean, if a spouse left you, or if you left your spouse for whatever that reason may be between you and God and the priest, only you know where you are in terms of, are you in mortal sin? Okay, now we're not going to go over all that on this podcast. And if you're not in the state of mortal sin or of sin, yes, you can receive communion. And I'll just leave it at that. Get more educated on it, though. Please do. But I just want to make that call out to you to go to Mass and come back if you've been away, no matter who you are. And remember, if there's some reason why you can't receive communion and only you know that reason, then still come to Mass and participate. You can pray during the communion time. And until you're ready to go to communion, you can spend that time as a sacrifice and an offering to God. So again, I would just say, talk to a priest, get educated on it, but know that it is God's desire and the church's desire that you come back to Mass. Okay, number 3 on my list here is to pray 5 minutes every day. That doesn't sound too difficult, I don't think either. It says our Lord Jesus Christ was manifested into the flesh to draw us back into relationship with God the Father. Relationship involves spending time with the other. Prayer is the way to spend time with the Lord so as to fall in love with He who has made us and to be loved by the one who always has loved us. Prayer is about not only talking, but mostly about listening, I think, isn't it? So that's great advice. Pray every day for 5 minutes. And if you're busy with work, if you're busy with things, you're going to find you look forward to those 5 minutes. And if you've never heard of aspirations, I would say, please do just make those aspirations during the day. Just say hello to God. Jesus, please help me. Lord, have mercy on my soul. Whatever that is, just simply the name of Jesus or Mary. And we're in the year of St. Joseph. You can call out and ask for St. Joseph's prayers as well during your day. Jesus, Mary, and Joseph. So keep it in mind. That's good advice for those 10 ways to grow in faith, especially for divorced and separated. Number 4 is read a good book. It says we need to fill our minds with goodness of God and the witness of the saints. Reading for just 10 minutes a day can do wonders. And I will say that as well. Now, for those affected by divorce and separation, I would recommend to go to Rose Sweet's website at rosesweet.com. She's a former board member at the St. Raymond Nonnatus Foundation. She's a Catholic author and speaker, and she's also a person who's been affected by divorce herself and annulments. And so you can learn about her there, and she's written some fabulous books that are available on Amazon. Number 4 is to read the daily mass readings each day. The only way to know God's way is to place ourselves in the world of Scripture, and most especially to walk with Christ, so as to see as he sees. The Scriptures is a unique way to transform our capacity to see God and to know how to follow and love him. So I do that all the time. And I would say that it really helps me to grow closer, especially on those days when I don't make it to daily mass. Now, I like to go to daily mass when I can, but I work, as you know, because I work for the St. Raymond Nonnatus Foundation, and I do work a certain amount of hours per day. But when I wake up in the morning, it does make me not only feel better to go to mass, but I'm filled with his grace and receiving the Eucharist, which is such a blessing. But if you can't do that, and there's always reasons why we can't, whether it be work or something else, taking care of the kids, read those mass readings. And it's easy to find if you go to the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops. Just simply Google that, the USCCB. I think it's usccb.org, and you can get the daily mass readings. Check it out. Number 6 is to do one act of mercy each day. The church has given us spiritual and corporal works of mercy so as to give life to the word of the gospel, so that all might know of God's love and mercy. I think this is an excellent way for us all to grow in faith. I'll just say on a side note that I wrote a book myself that you might want to check out at some time, and it has to do with the corporal and spiritual works of mercy. The book is called Love and Care for the Marginalized, and you can learn about that book by going to Amazon, just simply keying in Love and Care for the Marginalized, my name, and DeSantis. Just check it out. And it's about those people in our lives who don't have the love and the support that they deserve. We all know them, don't we? I know I do. Whether they're our neighbors, friends, people in our home, whether they're our children, our parents, people we work with, people at church, people who we see on those Zoom calls once in a while with work or other things that we do. So keep in mind, this is a way that we can grow when we comes outside of ourselves, and when you're affected by divorce in some way and the pain of the separation and of the ending of a marriage, is that we need healing ourselves. Whoever you are, you need healing. And I need healing. As I said, I was the adult child of divorce, even though it happened a long, long time ago. Healing came to me over many years. But I think one of the things that we can do to grow is when we give of ourselves. Now, I'm going to read off those corporal and spiritual works of mercy for all of you. You can find these anywhere online, but let's think about them. Their corporal works of mercy are to feed the hungry, to give drink to the thirsty, to clothe the naked, to harbor the harborless, to visit the sick, to ransom the captive, and to bury the dead. And the spiritual works of mercy are to instruct the ignorant, to counsel the doubtful, to admonish sinners, to bear wrongs patiently, to forgive offenses willingly, to comfort the afflicted, and to pray for the living and the dead. So just think about those things, because even though you might say to yourself, my goodness, I'm going through a challenge and a crisis myself. What time do I have to do all this, to do these corporal and spiritual works of mercy? You can do one thing a day, something small. Something that we can all do is to be an active listener with other people, right? Whether it be your child, your parent, your neighbor, somebody at church. When you speak to somebody, give them a chance to tell their story. And I think you'll find that when you've been through a hard time yourself, and when you give somebody the chance to tell their story, that you'll find healing yourself. So just keep that in mind. Number 7 on this list is to pray the rosary. Mary is our mother. And as we go through the joys and struggles of life, she walks with us. She's the perfect disciple. She's been down our path and remained faithful. I think it's important for us to know, and especially you, as I keep saying, people affected by divorce, that the Blessed Mother is with you. Now, we're Mercedarians here. We were formed through the Mercedarian order. And our Mary that we pray for, we pray to the Blessed Mother in general, but especially Our Lady of Mercy. And Our Lady of Mercy is all about God's love and mercy, especially for the poor sinner, right? We're all sinners in some way, shape, or form, aren't we? And that's what it's all about, is that the Blessed Mother loves you, cares about you, and is there for you, especially when you take that time to pray the rosary. My favorite time to pray it is in the morning. And if you have the time, I would just suggest to pray it. And if you don't have the time, you know what I used to do? Now, I'm at a time in my life right now where I do have the 15 minutes to spend praying the rosary. But if you don't, break it up. Do a decade in the morning, and then maybe the second decade at lunchtime, and maybe the next decade in the middle of the afternoon, if you have to do it that way. It's a great way to pray your rosary and all the fruits that come. Number 8 on my list is to find a good Catholic community to join, or at least a few good Catholic friends to encourage you. We all need community, and it's the reason Jesus gathered his 12 apostles together and we sent them out. He sent them in pairs. It is not good for us to be alone, and even more so that we strive in our lives so that we can be contrary and align ourselves with the gospel. So keep that in mind, that, you don't have to be a part of a community that gets together all the time, because I've seen that and witnessed that in Catholic ministry. There's people I know, even relatives of mine, who they're always with their Catholic community and their Catholic friends and doing stuff in person. And you might say, you know what, I just don't have time to do that. And I would just say this, I understand that. As a mom, as a person who works, as a person who's involved in different board of directors and different things that I do, it is hard to get together with people in person all the time. But you can be a part of something called an online community. And I would say that that's what we're here for you too, as the St. Raymond Nonnatus Foundation, is that we're part of community. And you can also learn about becoming a third order Mercedarian. And if you're interested in doing that, I'm going to give you my email address, because I'm a third order Mercedarian too. And I love being a Mercedarian. So is my husband. Just email me at director.srnf@gmail.com. I'll say it again, director.sr, N as in Nancy, F as in Frank, @gmail.com. Let me know you're interested in getting some information about becoming a third order Mercedarian. Now I'm being a part of an online community of the third order Mercedarians. And we have a group of people that gets together online, and we have meetings and we pray. So you're welcome to join us. And I hope we do hear from you. Number 9 on my list about ways to grow in faith, right, is to find a way to volunteer in your parish. There's so many opportunities to serve in the parish. Find yours. And again, I'll go back to the fact that if you are going through an adversity right now and you're saying, my goodness, I just about have time to work and take care of my kids, especially if you're affected by divorce. There's small ways that you can help your parish, though. I would say call your parish and find out. Explain your situation. Say, listen, I don't have that much extra time. Is there something small that I can do? Maybe there's even a prayer ministry where you can find out who are the sick people in the parish. Can you say that 5-minute prayer that I said at the beginning of this podcast, the 5 minutes a day? Can you add that person that's sick to your prayer list? That's one way that you can do it. But do find out where the needs are and ways that you can get active in your parish community. And the last way, I'm at number 10 already, believe it or not, is to cultivate thankfulness. Thank the Lord for 3 things each day. The spirit of thankfulness kills a bitter heart and helps us to see that truly everything is a gift from the Lord. Whether the Lord gives or the Lord takes away, we must bless his name. It also gives us the vision to see what God desires for us. I think this is a beautiful article, these 10 ways to grow in faith, and especially that last one, because for those affected by divorce, you know what it's like for having something being given and something being taken away. Whether you were that person who your spouse left you, or for whatever reason, which we don't know, and that's between you and God, whether you had to be the one to end a marriage and seek help from the Catholic Church and elsewhere. But I want to let you know that we are here for you. This charism of us helping families affected by divorce has been around since we started the foundation back in 2015. Now, I want to also let you know, some people come to us and they say, do you do online support meetings for divorced and separated? Now, I want to address that question. We used to, okay? We have now replaced those online support groups with our one-on-one pastoral consultations. Now, I'm going to explain to you why, because more than one person has asked us this question. We used to offer monthly meetings. The problem that we were having, and I think those who were listening, you're going to understand what I mean, is that too many people didn't want to disclose personal information about what they were going through with their divorce or their separation or annulment with people that they did not know. And it happened more than once. So we took a vote and decided as a board, the board decided, I should say, that what replaced that were these interactive podcasts that we do. Okay, now next month's topic are our podcast and videos. So make sure that you listen on the first Tuesday of next month and listen to part 4 of this series on what does the St. Raymond Nonnatus Foundation offer in terms of services. So find out more about those podcasts. When I say that they're interactive, what I mean is that you'll be watching this podcast or listening to it on YouTube or on social media. And not only will you be listening to it and watching, but so will I, and so will one of our friars. And so if you have questions about yourself or your faith or anything that you want to address, you can do it on the YouTube channel, however you want to address that. And you don't have to do that either, because I know there's going to be some boundary issues there too with whether or not you want to be public about your question. So you can make that appointment instead. As I said, what replaced these online support meetings are the one-on-one pastoral consultations. As I said, they're free. You get as many of them as you like. It is not a counseling session like with a psychologist or with a counselor, but we offer the prayer, the listening, and really that pastoral accompaniment is what we offer. To let you know that we're here for you. Like I said, those 2 biggie things that we offer, prayer and availability. When people ask us all the time, what do you do? We don't understand. That's why we developed these 4 parts in this series. I'm going to name what those again are so that you who are listening. The St. Raymond Nonnatus Foundation at nonnatus.org. Our tagline is that we offer pastoral accompaniment for families in crisis. What do we offer? We offer prayer, number 1. Number 2, priestly consultation. Number 3, programs and events. And number 4, podcasts and videos. So check that out. That is what we offer. Please let your church, your diocese, your archdiocese, we're really trying to get on the map all over the place as much as we can nationwide. And as much as we can get your help to help us to do that, we appreciate it. In addition, if you can share in your church bulletins about what we do, simply a short sentence. Learn about the St. Raymond Nonnatus Foundation. They help families in crisis by offering pastoral accompaniment at nonnatus.org. Make your free pastoral accompaniment session. I know I said that pretty fast, but if you email me by going to our website on the contact form, I can actually send you a nice little church bulletin, and you can send that out to your parish. It happens one-to-one. Some people who are in ministry, they want to know like how many followers you have and how much money do you make a year and all of that. And these are all very important things when you're a nonprofit, right? You need to be able to sustain. But what we say all the time is that we help one person at a time. Okay. People ask me sometimes, like, how many people do you help a week? And I'm happy to give that information. We usually make anywhere between 0 and 4 appointments a week. Okay. So if you times that out by a month, we can have anywhere from like 4 to 12 or 16 appointments in 1 month. Okay. So when you add that up over a year's time, it comes out to, somewhere in the hundreds of people. And being now in existence over 5 years now, almost, right? Or more than that, actually. We've been around since 2015, but really an active ministry, not until 2017, because we had board meetings when we first started, but we didn't have any actual ministry going on the first 2 years of our founding. So from 2015 to 2017, we weren't actually doing anything physical, right? We had a lot of board meetings and meetings before I became the director. But we've been in active ministry, really active ministry, since September of 2017. So I'm really happy to say that we're 4 years old now in terms of what we've been doing. And I've been with the foundation since that time. I love it. And I thank you for supporting us. And it's my blessing to be the director for this foundation. And I thank all of you for supporting us. And I'm going to end this podcast with a couple different things here before we end. I do want to say a prayer and a meditation. And I would also like to ask you to pray for us. Please do pray for the people that we're trying to reach. Because not only are we in a national organization, we're international. We do get people from other countries that contact us and want us to pray. We get prayer requests all the time. So even if we don't, as I said, we get anywhere between 0 and 4 appointments a week. Prayer requests, though, we get them all the time. People send us prayer requests all the time on email. And please know that I and other friars, especially ones that are assigned and active in this ministry, are praying for you. The other thing I'd like to ask you, and I'm going to put myself on the line here, is please do think about supporting us financially. Now, how can you do that? If you go to nonnatus.org, we have a donate button. Any amount that you can give is so helpful. And we're coming into that giving season here toward the end of 2021. But we need your help. We really do need your help. And especially those who would like to consider giving to us more regularly. We get like 80% of all of what we earn, right, from our donations in like November and December. So it makes it a little hard during the year sometimes to keep that going. So I'm just going to ask you, if you would, pray for us, consider donating. You can write a check too, if you'd like to write a check. Our address is on the website. Now we do have a new address. It makes it a lot easier. It's a P.O. box, which is a little closer to where I am and located in my home office here. So the address is the St. Raymond Nonnatus Foundation, P.O. Box 951, Skipback, PA 19454. Now I'm going to say that again, and it is on our website. At the very bottom of the website, you'll see it there at nonnatus.org. Again, St. Raymond Nonnatus Foundation, P.O. Box 951, Skipback, that's Skippack, Skipback, PA 19454. And you can make it for my attention and DeSantis for any amount, whatever you choose. Thank you so much from our hearts, from my heart, for any donations that you give. I want you to know that 100% of what you give to us goes to help us to reach more families and individuals who are in crisis and those affected by divorce and separation. May I ask you to share this podcast with someone? If you're listening to this on Facebook, if you're listening to this on YouTube, can you share it? That helps us so much. Before we end this podcast, I also like to thank a couple friends. I would like to thank our full board of directors, every one of them, and you can learn about them by going to nonnatus.org on our team. I would also like to thank the Mercedarians at orderofmercy.org. You know, our charism is the Mercedarian charism. That's been questioned in the past, so I want to make sure that everybody that's listening knows that we are a Mercedarian ministry. First and foremost is outreach to those affected and those who are feeling the margins of society, families who are in crisis, and those who are in danger of losing their faith. We are Mercedarian. Learn about them at orderofmercy.org. And if you know someone who's looking for a vocation, please share that website, orderofmercy.org. I love this religious order, proud to be a third order member, and honored and proud to be the director of this foundation for 4 years now. I want to say to all of you, God bless you. Let me read a poem and a prayer before we end. Trials. An unexpected trial surface along our walks of life. We bow to being vulnerable, accepting each new strife. These things that happen suddenly were not what we had planned. We can't just override them. We need a helping hand. To get us through the tough times, we humbly seek out aid. It seems our life is spinning and nothing around us stayed. Somehow in time, we're through them with lessons learned and gleaned. The trials and tribulations are part of where we've been. And add to who this person is and who he's grown to be. The trials set before us make up the you and me. Ruth Marie Brooks Silver, and that is from Salesian Inspirational Books. And I thank them for that meditation. You who are affected by divorce and separation, we're here for you. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. Father in heaven, I ask you to bless all of my friends, all of our friends who are listening, until we meet again next time on this podcast. Let us pray to our mother. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. God bless. This is Ann DeSantis. I'll see you next month with the St. Raymond Nonnatus Foundation for Freedom, Family, and Faith.
Thank you for listening to this podcast. For more information about the St. Raymond Nonnatus Foundation, visit nonnatus.org or email director.srnf@gmail.com. Did you enjoy this podcast? Listen to other podcasts from Patchwork Heart Ministry by following Patchwork Heart Radio wherever you listen to podcasts.